Alrighty, I think we're live.
Oh,
All right. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to our community watch party. This month, we are doing a little bit different. Last couple months, we've been going a little different route. And instead of doing community chats, we're doing community watch parties. We're just gathering up some people and we are talking about some of the things that are out there, some of the content that's out there for people with autoimmune and autoinflammatory arthritis. This one is a little bit special. It's kind of right on the nose. Our staff has just finished up with ACR out in San Diego, and they were at ACR 2023 Convergence, and we are bringing it to you. So basically, we had a go with us, where we gave you an inside look at what was going on at the convergence at the meeting, and we had three people, actually four people out there, and they've brought back a lot of video and a lot of interaction. So myself, my name is Michael Guadalupe. I am the volunteer and administrative assistant, one of the volunteer and administrative assistants at AiArthritis, and I'm here with Deanne. If you can introduce
oh,
yourself.
I'm Deanne. I'm the other volunteer and administrative assistant.
And we have Layla in charge of.
Hi, my name is Layla, and I'm the health education manager here at AiArthritis. I am very, very tired still since I just got home today from ACR. I drove back up to Orange County. So thank you so much to Michael for making sure to be able to host today, because I usually am the one hosting, but do not have all of the energy to be able to do that today. So I really appreciate Michael for picking up my slack.
Not a problem. Yeah, but so Layla is actually, yeah, she does. She's in charge of this. This is her brainchild. So this is just an opportunity for us to give you a little bit of information on the back end, because it is hard for you folks to go to conferences, and a lot of them are very selective and they're just cost prohibitive as well. So we like to give you a little taste of what's over there, and share the information that we've gotten from them, because honestly, every time we go to them, we learn something new. We learn about a new technique. We learn about something that might have just passed, or a drug or medicine or treatment that's just gotten its indication for certain disease. So we do go over some of that. So we do have some. So Layla, how did you like going out there? Actually, it was not that far for you. It was what, 2 hours? As
Actually,
the crow flies.
either way, it was both only an hour and 30 minutes, so it actually wasn't too bad. It was a really fun experience. It was different than last time because last year was in Philly, so it was freezing cold and we were walking in like 30-degree weather. This time is around 75, 80 in the middle of the day during and we were all like, we just want to be able to go to the beach, but we're over here in the convention center. Either way, it was so much fun being able to network with all the other patient organizations that were there, with all of the rheumatologists, of course, that were there, and just all of the other healthcare workers and presenters and things like that. I think the other biggest thing was for us to make sure that people get to know us. So we wanted to have a really fun, interactive booth. I'm pretty proud of how the booth ended up turning out, and we had a lot of people stop by and take pictures. So that was really fun for me because I did also pretty much design the booth and kind of make sure that all of the resources that we had were being displayed and being brought to the public. So that was another fun thing about the session too. And of course, going to scientific sessions is always the cherry on top. Unfortunately, we didn't get to go to a lot this time around. It's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time, because that means that we are getting exposure and getting hopefully some funding to be able to keep these programs going with all of the pharmaceutical companies that we met with. They seem to be pretty impressed with our new resources that we have going on. So that's always a plus too.
All right. So you did get a lot of work done, which is great, because um, in this world now, I mean, it's a Zoom world. It's hard to meet people and shake their hand and just say hi to them, have a meal or a drink or coffee with them, and that's where a lot of deals are done. And not even a deal, just just where we can get exposure. And as a nonprofit, we do depend on donations and sponsorships to run these programs that keep patients informed. And the nice part about it is that you can just go to our website and sign up for any of these programs that we have running. So we'd like to share with you just a few of the videos that we had going on, that we had just made these. So it was Eileen and Layla and Tiffany and Deb Constant. They all went out there and they sent us some video back. So we're gonna watch some of the video. And again, ACR, American College of Rheumatology, for those, just so we could say it, put it out there. But we have some video from this video from Deb. She's going to be just talking about. I actually found this fairly interesting. I'll just share this clip with you. It's about. She's basically going to be talking about a session she went to about cardiovascular disease in relation to I think her specific one was rheumatoid arthritis, but it was talking about just basically autoinflammatory diseases, so not autoimmune diseases. So let's pick up where she is here.
Are you sharing your screen, Michael? I don't think it's going
I
on.
am not.
Okay,
I
not
am
yet.
not
Okay.
sharing my screen. Apparently, I am not. So here you go. She's right. Apologies. And let me make sure the sound is on. So, all right, there we go.
The first thing, cardiovascular risk. Modulate, so control the cardiovascular risk. And this first rheumatologist was really key on pointing out some very interesting things. The first thing she was talking about was atherosclerosis. So that is part of cardiovascular disease, and that's the plaque that shows up in your vessels. And she was talking about that and autoimmunity. So there's definitely a growing relationship, and they even questioned is our atherosclerosis, so cardiovascular disease, is it actually an autoimmune disease itself? What an interesting question, huh? They talked about the different things.
All right, what she just said there isn't an autoimmune disease itself. What is the? I mean, I feel what the importance would be is that we're learning something new every day. Number one, and they're trying to draw conclusions. Not conclusions. They're trying to draw a parallel line to, is cardiovascular disease one of the autoimmune and autoinflammatory diseases? So what to you does that, Layla or Deanne, does that mean anything? Have you seen it? These cardiovascular diseases pop up more often? Because I think in one of the videos they talk about, not in this one maybe, that it's 30% people with autoimmune autoinflammatory diseases, arthritis, are 30% more likely to have uh, cardiovascular disease.
For me personally, I have a friend that her father passed away, and they said it was from the plaque had broken off and wet places that it wasn't supposed to. And they said it was because of his psoriatic arthritis. That's why he had that, and he hadn't any clue that he had any of that.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, wouldn't have. I mean, obviously, I'm not a researcher or anything, but I wouldn't have. That wouldn't have been the conclusion that I would have came to, that cardiovascular disease itself could be an autoimmune disease. But I guess it makes sense with some autoimmune diseases that, like, obviously too, like with lupus, it affects people of color at a higher rate, and so does cardiovascular disease. But I think it also has a lot to do with lifestyle, like with the food that you eat and things like that too. But maybe it is like a like autoimmune diseases, but maybe like food is a trigger, and that's what kind of triggers it. Like the fat in the food or the saltiness in the food could maybe trigger it, and that's what makes it an autoimmune disease. But that's an interesting thing to consider. But either way, it is a very high comorbidity in all of our diseases. So something that everybody should be on the lookout for and make sure that we're preventing.
And when we talk about comorbidities, sometimes they're just as bad as the disease that you're diagnosed with off the bat too. Um, I mean, right? I mean, with lupus, especially like the systematic arthritis, th- they can affect you. And I think what they're talking about here is that the uh, the inflammation in the blood is causing your heart and your blood vessels to become inflamed themselves, or have or create um, conditions that are not good for your circulatory system. So let's see what else she says. She goes through very well. I just found this very interesting because I had never thought of the correlation between cardiovascular disease, even though there's a higher prevalence to have it when you do have a autoimmune or autoinflammatory arthritis.
So the plaque, the calcium that kind of forms inside your vessel to block the blood flows from flowing quite so easily. The thrombosis formation, so not being able to clot so well. The elasticity, so the flexibility of your vessels, whether it's arteries or veins and things like that, versus getting to be more hardened and not doing so well. Is it more than just a relationship? Good question. The next question, again, like she said, is it actually going to be considered a autoimmune disease at some point? Because there's so many shared pathways and the mechanisms of how they're treated and things like that. Because as you'll hear me say, they've been looking at how they're treating cardiovascular disease, colchicine, as well as they're using TNF inhibitors, which are the same drugs that they treat our diseases for. So that's an interesting crossover. They're using methotrexate, and they were seeing some promise with that. And also the glucocorticoids like the prednisones and the steroid shots that we often hear about. So you'll hear my voice is a little froggy. We were up late last night and we had a lot of fun catching up with friends, but I think my voice has had it over these couple days. So excuse my voice, but we were talking about, let me get to the actual take-home points because I think that summed a lot of this up. First, we need to make sure that we're recognizing the cardiovascular risk that are a part of our diseases. And there's a lot of assessment tools out there. We need to make sure that our rheumatologists are actually looking at the crossover, managing the known cardiovascular risks, using NSAIDs. So those are things like our Motrin and over-the-counter Celebrex, those type of things that are taking the inflammation out of our bodies. Using those with more caution because they tend to cause really higher than they ever imagined risks to our cardiovascular system and having cardiovascular events. Using corticosteroids at the lowest dose and for the shortest amount of time possible. I'm speaking from experience. I've been on steroids since 13 years old. So I've been on steroids. I'm down to a smaller dose. I'm on 4 milligrams, but it's amazing.
Okay. So here she's going through basically what they are doing to treat these, to treat the cardiovascular side of the diseases. Now, there's one that she was talking about. It's a very cheap one. The first one she was talking about, I cannot remember what it was called, but it's a very cheap drug that'll actually help control your cardiovascular disease. And these are one of these. That's the thing. You can have it added to your drug regimen or your treatment regimen, and it'll keep your cardiovascular disease to a minimum. I'm not taking any, so I'm not really sure. I've never really heard of
Yeah, it's
people doing
colchicine.
this.
It's
Culture,
colchicine.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Tiffany also let us know about an experience that she had with colchicine, that COVID was affecting her heart. And so when COVID was affecting her heart, they put her on colchicine for that. But she was like, "Oh, I'm already on colchicine." So like that, like she was like, it must have really like protected me from getting worse because they had to up the dose. And she was like, if I wasn't taking that, it could have been a lot worse. So whenever there's any sign of you maybe thinking that there's like blood flowing, not feeling well, like if you're feeling lightheaded when you're getting up all the time and things like that, where it just might feel like you're a little off, why not see if there's any issues with your cardiovascular? Check your high blood pressure, check to see if your blood pressure is high and things like that, and make sure to report that back to either your PCP or your rheumatologist so that you can figure out and try and prevent it from getting any worse if that's something that might be happening with your disease.
Because this, again, we stress the comorbidities are a little bit, or it can be worse than just the main disease as well.
I found it interesting though with the she was saying like Motrin and things like that can cause it more, but then when they were talking about it possibly being an autoimmune disease, that's what we want to do. So like that was kind of confusing for me.
You're on mute, Michael.
And Layla, you referenced the conversation that Tiffany had about her experience with colchicine, and I believe it's on this video actually. So we're going to go to this one. So from day 3, and it's a fun video. They're in the hallway, and these are behind the scenes looks you kind of get at the Go With Us. Yes, we have recaps of sessions, which you're not able to attend, and we also have just some. This one was, yes, informative, but it was a little bit fun because they're out in the hallways. I believe earlier in this video they caught Layla uh, walking by, so it was just in a basic general area, but you get to see a little bit of the scenery and what they were at. So this is one of those things you can get as a Go With Us participant. So you get a little bit of a behind the scenes look. Right up here.
There were 2 cardiologists that spoke, and I learned that there's there's 4 clinics in the United States, so just the United States, that are cardiovascular and rheumatology. I think it was called cardio room or something like that. I'll tune in more and tell you more about it, but it was fascinating. Big piece is that colchicine, I'm probably saying that wrong.
Nope, that's right. I'm on colchicine.
Okay, is now been FDA approved as of June of 2023. So yes, just a couple months ago, for cardiovascular indications.
Can I put a story in?
Yes.
Okay, I have a story. So, March 2020, I was one of the first people to get COVID, okay? And it was so early, and everybody thought that it was a lung disease, and it attacked my heart. And this time there was no data on the heart, and nobody could figure it out why my heart was going crazy. And they diagnosed me with pericarditis, and they're like, you need to get on colchicine to try to get your inflammation of your heart down. I'm like, I'm on it twice a day already. And they're like, what? So long story short, after COVID and all of these heart instances started, they started really looking into colchicine for heart. And I've said to this day, oh my gosh, they need to indicate it for inflammation of the heart, because I believe it saved my life. I ended up in the hospital with COVID because of heart inflammation, and I believe to this day, if I was not already on colchicine for my diseases twice a day, I don't know what would happen.
It's amazing.
Holy moly!
Yes.
The aha moments. Okay, sorry. Didn't mean to do it.
Okay. No, hey.
Sorry about that. I couldn't unmute for whatever reason. All right. So yeah, so that's the story that Layla was talking about. So I thought that was a funny story. I had to share it with you because Tiffany was able, she was on a lot of these, she had a lot to do. She's a CEO and she was in meetings most of the time. So she was not able to go to as many sessions as she's usually able to go to. I think she went to a lot more sessions last year, if I recall correctly. So this ACR was a lot of her meeting with sponsors and meeting with stakeholders and people that can help us out. And that was a good thing, but she wasn't able to go to the sessions. But I'm glad to see that we were able to get a story out of her. And it actually relates to the session that Deb will go through. I guess I'm not sure you know the whole videos, but in the last video, she'll go through that whole video and she'll go through that whole session. And she'll also is looking at putting a nutrition video together as well, because Deb Constantine is very into nutrition. And she was talking about at the end of the last video we played that we were going to have more about eating non-processed foods, a Mediterranean diet she was talking about, and she was talking about practice versus just reading about it in a book. So that was that. So have Deanne, I don't know if you waited on it yet. Did you have anything about colchicine, or have you taken it, or?
No, I've heard of it. Like, it didn't sound unfamiliar to me, but I don't. Yeah, I've never taken it.
Because I was putting these videos together and I wasn't quite sure how to spell things. So I was on Google MD to figure out spellings and learn a little bit about these drugs. And it was kind of I fell down a hole a couple times and I was learning about the drugs. So but it was interesting that the story that Tiffany had was interesting because COVID, it was a different creature altogether. People with autoimmune and autoinflammatory diseases, we're already immunocompromised because the drugs we're taking. So if we did get something that was just going to be a little bit worse than from a little range, with this thing we didn't know it was going to be a little bit worse, a lot worse, and obviously it was a case by case, comorbidities and so forth. So it's very interesting that something that Tiffany was taking already was able to. Well, she says it saved her life. We don't know. But she's but she has a feeling about it because of what the doctors have said. And again, consult your doctors about anything. They're not giving you any advice. So let's see what else we have here.
That's what these are all about. Mind-blowing for me because I wasn't aware of some of this. And by the way, I sat next to my rheumatologist during the session.
That is so cool.
She also went in real time onto her Epic phone, like into the app, and put me on colchicine. So in real time.
Wait a minute, is this breaking news? Is this breaking news at ACR 23?
It is. So at least for me, for sure.
Wow.
And she also is super upset that she didn't get me to a cardiologist sooner before I started having major symptoms. And by the way, I'm still recovering. I had heart catheterization a week ago and stenting done, all due to inflammation in my body for 40 years.
Yeah.
So anyways, the second session, again, I'm going to do more information.
Is the second
this.
one on cardio?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
It was, I just lost my page, but it was, oh my God, I just lost my page.
While she's finding her page, let me give you a little statistic. So just from being diagnosed with one of our diseases, we have 20% higher risk for heart disease. And that, of course, is even scarier if it already... Oh, it's 30 now?
30.
Another breaking news at ACR. Last I knew a few years ago, it was 20. Okay, so it's really important for all of us, if you're diagnosed, to understand the comorbidities that can happen if we have uncontrolled disease with the inflammation. So go take it away, Deb. You've got two more minutes.
Okay, the last session that I went to at noon today was cardiovascular rheumatology, lessons learned from targeting inflammation to modulate.
So on this part of the video, she's basically going to go over the next part, the part we just showed you actually, because this video was taken, I believe it was yesterday afternoon, and the other one was this morning. So she'll go over all that. So if you're with the Go With Us, you're lucky enough to get in, and you'll have access to these videos. We will be making the videos public pretty soon. There's above my pay grade. I'm not quite sure on how we are doing that, but we are going to be making sure that everybody gets this information. But we do like to give people who sign up a little sneak peek, and we had a WhatsApp channel for patients, so they were able to watch along and ask us questions real time, and it was kind of nice. So we had a little bit going on this week. Now, oh, we might know her, and she was talking. Layla, you can tell us
Organs,
what
they
happens
have
here.
a lot
Oh, sorry about that. You gotta go back a little bit on this one. But this was this. So Layla had talked about, if you can recall in this video, was it this video, Layla? Did you want to go over what you learned about a little bit about what you learned about pregnancy and I believe was it lupus or was it all autoimmune diseases?
it was mostly lupus.
So do
Yes.
you want to
So
get
yeah, no, exactly. This is a very interesting topic. One, because it is a personal topic to me. And in my life right now, thinking about possibly, planning a pregnancy. And so it's all really cool that all of this is new and breaking discoveries in this section of ACR. It's also relevant because we have been approached by a pharmaceutical company to do an education project on lupus and pregnancy additionally. So that's why I did attend a lot of the lupus sessions. Obviously not for my own, not just for my own personal benefit, but because it is also something that is a priority for our organization. So I think one of the biggest things is that Deanne said she'll be right back. Her computer is not doing well, so she will be back. um, but the biggest thing that we are trying to do is is do studies. We, as in the rheumatology community, not me myself, but the researchers. They're trying to see which medications can be advanced to being safe for pregnancy. So there's a lot of these studies going on around the world on different medications, and I quite frankly don't know how they do these studies because it is very scary, the like taking a medication not knowing how it's going to affect the mother or the child. So but they did find that tacrolimus, which is another immunosuppressive that people may be on for different autoimmune diseases, is found to be relatively safe for pregnancy as long as it's kept under a certain dose, or the concentration of it in the blood is kept under a certain amount. So this is a very beginning study. It was still just an abstract at ACR, so it would become FDA approved, but they have to keep doing a few more studies and making sure, so it takes a few years still. So we'll see when it will be officially safe for pregnancy. Um, the other part of that video talks a little bit about a rheumatologist that initiated a program to educate other rheumatologists about reproductive health and kind of streamlining it and just making sure everybody gets a general breakdown of it, because it was proven that there's only about half of rheumatology patients that get talked to about how unsafe it might be to have a pregnancy while on these medications. So it's really important for rheumatologists to bring up the conversation. And it's not just for women, it's also for men that are looking to have kids too, because maybe some of the medications can be affecting sperm count and things like that too. There was a study that I saw that there was a session about it. So that's something that interests me too, to see what medications might be affecting that side of things too. So reproductive health is important in both men and women. It's talked about a little bit more in women because we are the ones actually holding the babies, but it takes two. Both have to be healthy in order to make it work. So it's important to get both. And then another study about untimely pregnancies and how detrimental it can be to the mother's health, and poor pregnancy outcomes, social disadvantage, and having to pay for extra medications if things go awry, or extra hospitalizations. So just making sure that you are in peak health when planning a pregnancy, and if not, using protective measures to make sure that you do not have an untimely pregnancy in order to protect yourself from what could happen with your disease. So that was kind of the breakdown of the sessions that I went to on Sunday.
And and there's other things I'm curious about, because I mean, you had mentioned that this, like the pregnancy one, probably isn't for everybody, but it is and it isn't. You know, if you're interested in having kids, or just knowing somebody who does and has autoimmune or autoinflammatory disease, it does help to kind of keep up with what can go wrong, what could go wrong, what can make, and actually, and just trying to find the optimal conditions is, like you said, an unwanted, not unwanted, unplanned pregnancy. An unplanned pregnancy could, and you're taking medication and you don't know you're pregnant and you're not supposed to be on that medication. I mean, that could be very harmful because you're eating for two and taking medication for two. So that could be dangerous. But I think, and then, but Deb did bring up one point. She was talking about bias in rheumatology because more women are diagnosed and more women just do you remember do either of you remember the rate? It's like a 60-40 women to men ratio of women versus men having autoimmune diseases, autoimmune or autoinflammatory diseases. I cannot remember that number, but it was a significant amount where normally it would be 50-50, but it was like 60-40 or 70-30. I don't think it's 70-30, but women to men ratio having autoimmune diseases. So is there a bias in there? Is there a reason why we're tracking more, women's diseases? And so she goes into her day one. We'll talk again. We're gonna put a list of these out as we go public at some point. When you do, if you are with the Go With This program, you have access to them right now. You've got them all in emails. And then I'm gonna put out a list towards the end of the week of everything revised, because we're gonna be adding more topics. But this is one of those topics that we have though with that really kind of interests me, because I always wondered, why is it that there's more women getting diagnosed? My goofy guess is the fact that it might be my guess is just underreporting by men, because a lot of us have played like contact sports. I didn't realize I had a disease. I had psoriatic arthritis because I played a contact sport. I just thought, oh yeah, my knees. I have a bum knee. So I was not diagnosed for 5 extra years. I don't know if you all have any guesses on that, but that's my silly guess. I don't know if it's true, if it's not.
Deb,
Kind of,
oh, go ahead, Deanne.
I was just gonna say, I kind of think the same thing, just because, like, my husband had some medical issues that, he just found out about on Monday. And he came home and he's like, he apologized to me because, I'd been trying to get him to, get it looked at for months now. And, he's like, yeah, I'll do that. And then just proceeded to keep taking care of, me and all my issues. So yeah, I think there has to be something with that, I think.
Yeah, I think that I would say maybe out of the people who aren't diagnosed right now, or the people that like, I think do think that men do tend to, like Joseph, my fiance, has not gone to the doctor in like 5 years. And I've told him several times, like, can you just get a checkup, like something? And he's like, unless there's something wrong, I'm not going to the doctor. And it's like, okay, as a person who goes to the doctor several times, um, every few months, it's a hard thing to kind of convince them to do what they want to do. It's their body. But I do also think that it could be linked to hormones. I did attend a talk at RNS that talked about how for a lot of women who have AiArthritis diseases, that flares can also come and go with the menstrual cycle, where when cramps and things like that, like right before your period in the premenstrual stage, is where people can get more inflammation at also. So I think it does have to do with hormones, but is it just the severity of our disease that we get to have those high levels of inflammation more often, and that's why it's presented more? Or I don't know, but there's a lot of talks going on about it, so I feel like we might have some answers coming in the next few years.
Definitely, especially with the hormones and the hormone treatments. More men are taking HGH, human growth hormones, in their 40s and 50s. So they'll be getting well, it's supposed to bring you to a normal a level of testosterone that you had when you were younger. But men just, they get slower as they get on in years. And the difference between just like, I wonder if it's also a little bit, it could be the differences in the hormones. Because I have Laura T, and she's in our chat. She's agreeing with me. I'm going to take all the credit because that's what I do. She says she thinks it's definitely underreported by men. I think me and Laura and Deanne had the right thing. And yeah, Joseph probably uh, he probably sorry about that. I didn't mean to
No,
knock you out
I said
there.
his name already, so
Oh,
it's
did
fine.
you? Okay. But yeah, yeah. I mean, he has the men's men. I shouldn't make too many generalities, but guys generally say, you know what? If it's not broke, don't fix it, because it's a hassle. You got to go to the doctor and give them your insurance card and ID and stuff. But yeah, so Laura does agree with all of us and say she says it might be underreported by men as well. And I think it might be a little bit of that, but it also could be the hormones. We don't know enough. And like Layla just said, there's going to be research coming out because I mean, the disparity is kind of like out there. You can see it. And if it is caused by hormones, okay, great. Now we know how to screen a little bit better. And it's all about getting good screening, great diagnoses, and because it takes a while to get diagnosed. I think Layla, you have a long diagnosis story? I
No,
can't remember who it
I
was.
have the opposite. I have the opposite. There, but like, Tiffany talked a lot about her diagnosis journey this weekend, and which she, was a mystery patient and then was undifferentiated disease, then had rheumatoid arthritis. But while she had rheumatoid arthritis, non-radial axial spondyloarthritis became a diagnosis, and they're like, oh, that's what you have. So it was like probably like 10-15 year span of time where she was kind of not being treated with what she needed to be treated with. So there's a lot, and they, I think on average it takes our community at least 2 to 3 years to get a diagnosis, and that's like on the low end. It's getting a lot better, but we have some projects in the pipeline, hopefully to help with expedited diagnosis and early detection, because that's one of AiArthritis's main priorities. So
Yeah, we want to be on. We want to share with you what we have as far as resources, because actually we're getting more resources coming online about your health journey. We've just begun those initiatives, and we have bits and pieces of it on our website at aiarthritis.org. And we have bits and pieces of it there. So we have a hotline you can call. Um, we have a what's it called? The hotline. We have just other resources that actually, and Layla just updated the our disease library as well. So you have a better description. And in those disease libraries, we have this diagnosis and then the process of diagnosis as well. So we have that. And Laura, she said she took her 5 years to be diagnosed, and in those 5 years, damage can be done, especially when it comes to, I don't know exactly what is what her diagnosis is. But like, let's say in psoriatic arthritis, damage is done. You lose cartilage for those 5 years. If it took me 5 years as well. I lost cartilage. I lost, a little bit of mobility in my hip. Like I have one hip that's not that great, and could have all been, because I responded to Enbro right away. So could I have helped myself earlier? Who knows? I mean, it's all what ifs, but it's also about early diagnosis and hopefully we have more. We had some sessions about that at ACR. I don't know. Did you have any early diagnosis sessions that we haven't gotten to yet at ACR?
off the top of my head, no, but a lot of these sessions have bits and pieces of that for each disease. So it wasn't like necessarily a big session about that, but a little bits and pieces of it for each disease. So we'll see what we come across these next few days as we deep dive into all the sessions.
I think that let's say it, that, well, you know what? My brain has just completely left. I will think on it again and
My brain often leaves the room as well. And Laura's been she's been sharing a lot, and I do appreciate it. So she has RA, and she says so with RA, the unique, a unique what's it called? A unique symptom of RA is that you do lose your joints are compromised early and quickly. And for those that had RA before 2000, they're called pre-biologic cases. There are deformities you do get deformities fairly quick. I've seen it affect in the hands. I'm not quite sure. Hands and feet, I know the smaller joints are affected faster. But before biologics were available, that was a reality for them. So we don't see enough of that, and we don't see that problem's been kind of taken care of. You don't see it as much anymore because we have biologics now, and it you just want to basically. That's why we stress early diagnosis so you can avoid those and get treated. And Deanne,
I remember what I was going to say. So, so the thing that we're doing, which is amazing, is telling people what things to look for. Because like I didn't. I guess it technically took me about 2 to 3 years to get diagnosed, but I didn't know I wasn't being diagnosed. Um, like I had a plantar fasciitis, and was sent to a podiatrist for that. And then I had tendonitis, and the podiatrist took care of that. And then I was sent to another doctor because I hurt my shoulder, and I had fevers, and they're like, "Oh, well, you just must have had a cold or something." Like I I saw like 5 or 6 different people for just each of these little things. Never knew that they could be one thing. And so finally my podiatrist, when my shoulder got hurt, he's like, why don't you go talk to a rheumatologist? And I'm like, okay. And then I was diagnosed like right away, like immediately. So that's why I'm like, technically it was 2 or 3 years, but it was only because I didn't even know that I wasn't.
Yeah, a lot of these things you don't know until it's hindsight. So it's really like, oh, that's why I was experiencing that. And that's connected to this. And yeah, that's what Deanne is alluding to, is one of the projects that we're starting, which is called auto plus inflammatory arthritis equals X or YZ, which basically means these symptoms of fever, malaise, rash, and brain fog, plus the inflammatory arthritis with joint pain, and joint stiffness and redness in the joints, can equal AiArthritis diseases, or they can equal other possible comorbidities. So yes, this is exactly what it is. So and one of those other possible diseases it could be is IgG4 related disease, which is a new disease that just had been kind of coming up, and a lot more studies are being done about it in the past 3 years or so. So that's definitely something that's coming up soon. So we really want to be able to get this information into podiatrists, physical therapists, primary care doctors, so that they can also know what to look out for, and when to refer out to get this expedited diagnosis.
and yeah, we do have a lot of programs. I did want to highlight them because this we have received such a good response from Go With Us project. Let's Go With Us in for ACR 2023. I love doing it. It was a lot of work, but we love doing it because honestly, these conferences were so inaccessible to us 2 3 years ago, and now we're trying to bring it to you and bring everything with you. So we do have a whole Go With Us. This is the Go With Us ACRs. Obviously sign up, but this has just happened. So if you come to our page and you just go to our work and you just go with us, um, down, Go With Us to conferences. We have it down here, and you can sign up, and you can sign up to find out about these. And we also have volunteer opportunities as well. We always tell you what's going on with those. And then if you also, I wanted to point out the disease pages as well, because we've done a lot of work with the disease pages since I've started. Layla has been working tirelessly to make sure you have information, but Basically, we go through a lot of these diseases and we talk about just, for example, maybe, and there we go. And basically, go through the symptoms. We tell you what the symptoms are. That's kind of and symptoms associated, general information. We talk about notable people. I mean, people you don't think about that may. This is not a life sentence for you, so this is just basically people who have it and are able to get past it and live with it is essentially what it is. So we try to encourage you to go to our website, take a look at everything we have here, and again, if you want to join us for any of the other activities, that's great. And we do have these monthly community chats on the 15th of every month. We do them on Facebook now. We're doing watch parties now. And we'll be doing, we'll be having a schedule coming out eventually. And we'll be able to tell you what's going on. Anything else from you, Layla?
No, I think that the Go With Us program has been really good this time around. I think it's been it was a little bit tough for us to get through to all the sessions, but I'm glad that we are extending it out for at least the next week or two to be able to sit down and really dedicate the time to translating over the scientific information. While you're there at the conference center, it is a lot about networking and a lot about seeing everybody and everything like that too. So it does get distracting from the actual science. So to be able to sit down and watch and get all of the information and digest it is going to be a lot of fun. So look out for some social media posts with us announcing the rest of the Go With Us videos. I think we should probably make these the videos that we have now live after this community chat. I'll double check and make sure, but I think that should be fine. We just wanted to make sure everybody who is in the program got the videos first, and then the rest of the public will get them afterwards. So yeah, I'm really excited for everybody to see more videos from us, and we are going to be again on the 15th of next month. We'll announce what we're going to be doing, but just as a preview, we're going to be reacting to some information about AI arthritis diseases from popular TV shows, so that will be fun. Stay tuned.
We did have one question come in, and I just noticed it because I'm lagging a little bit here, but from Vivian, she was asking if anyone had, does anyone have horrible neck pain and stiffness that does not resolve with prednisone? Now, Vivian, me personally, I do not have. I'm lucky enough to not be. I don't have the neck pain. I don't, and I'm not on any steroids. So this is not my wheelhouse. I don't know if either one of you have experience with that. I'm not
I
sure.
do, but they're still right now blaming it on an auto accident that I had in 2019. So it's, you know,
And
I
that's
do.
the one thing I kept complaining about when I go there is like, I'm like, I don't know if this is from this or if it's from this.
Yeah.
What?
It's funny that you ask that right now because my neck is actually in so much pain. I think it is from all the whole, traveling and walking so much and all that kind of stuff. It's worse today, but I do have really bad neck pain. Every day I have to put gel on it to get it to stiff, like from being too stiff. I have brought it up to my rheumatologist and it hasn't really gone anywhere. So the what I can say is track it, give it some numbers, let yourself know what days it's happening on, how often it's happening, and give it a scale of 1 to 10 of how bad it is that day. Bring that to your doctor, to your rheumatologist next time you see them. And that's what we learned, is that you have to talk to the doctors in their language sometimes, which a lot of the times is data. So symptom tracking is one of the things that is very valuable for patients to be able to expedite things that are happening to them. So that would be my biggest. If you have RA and lupus, yeah, I have lupus too, and yeah, neck problems has been really tough for me. Massages only relieve it temporarily, so I'm sorry we don't have any more advice for you, but I would definitely let you know to just keep tracking and try to bring it up to your doctor again.
And I believe, I mean, there's even like, I think, was it you, Layla, that was talking about an app that's actually tracking, or is that was that
Yeah, that
something
was
else?
me. That was me.
Yeah.
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 Um,
So there's apps out there. Which one was it?
this one
Yeah.
it was called Self, SELF, and it's run by the Lupus Foundation of America. So they did come out with an app to basically help with self-care and managing symptom tracking, medication tracking, and stress management. So if that's something that you wanted to look into to help with your symptom tracking, I actually want to test it out and try it myself too. So yeah.
A notebook will work just fine too. Put it in your
Yeah, that
phone.
too. Yeah, exactly.
Make a calendar, make a pain calendar if you want to call it something. Whatever.
They have those fancy
Fun.
ones you could pick, the spectrum of red, how dark the red is how bad it is, and you could get fancy with it, things like
But
that,
again,
the
I'm a
spreadsheet.
I'm a simple man. It hurts X. So yeah,
Yeah.
so you can do a discomfort diary, and so forth. So
Yeah, having someone
yeah,
understand is really a big help. I think I feel like I don't have to complain so much when I feel people understand what I'm talking about. It feels good to let it out, but it feels even better to be like, "Oh, validation. Someone gets me," you know? It really does feel cathartic.
yeah. My one story is I work with volunteers, and we have a social group. And I was going to have a changing medication, and they were very intent on making sure a nurse was there on Facebook with me. I felt weird about it because I've never had this before. I've dealt with medication. And I go to the social group in our volunteer section. I'm like, hey, is this normal? And then everybody put my mind at ease. And I'm like, at first I thought it was creepy, but yeah, having someone understand it and having someone to just answer the seemingly dumb questions, and understand that you don't know, it's just even better. So we do, like I said, we do often. I do push volunteering because we're expanding everything. We're expanding our groups, so we're doing more next year. 2024 is gonna be big for us in volunteering. So we have that, and Layla's we do a lot more with education. So it's gonna be very exciting. So last word, Deanne.
Um, yeah, I've really enjoyed this last week. I think it's um, just being able to read and see what everybody has learned and talked about, and kind of really excited.
Yeah, I think my favorite part is being able to actually interact with patients that have never been to conferences like this and have questions. And for us to be able to know the questions that patients have is completely invaluable because that makes it really important for us to be able to give that information to those who are going to give us funding to be able to provide that information to these patients. So I think that this whole big cycle, it's like everything that we do is to hopefully benefit patients, and being able to have that up close and personal um, group with them, being in that personalized group and having people ask questions and let us know what their concerns are, um, is really cool, because I can tell you that there are a lot of other groups that don't do that. And so it's a really cool experience for our participants to be able to have that personalized experience.
I'll say I'll shout out all my volunteers. I love them. They're great. Best part of my job, hands down, is other meetings and the interactions I have with other patients. And I see other patients, but they're volunteers and they're my friends, and it's great. I love doing it. So I implore you to volunteer if you can. Sign up for any of the programs we have. They're all on our website, AiArthritis.org. And we will be doing this next month on the 15th. Layla will be back in the helm. She'll be running this for us, and hopefully we can entertain you for another hour next month, and entertain you with a little bit of education on the side. We're gonna make you sneaky learn something, because that's how we are here at AI Arthritis. We're gonna make you learn something. All right. So I hope everybody has a great night. Thank you very much. If you're watching this later on, I appreciate you. I appreciate you showing up. Everybody showed up in the chat. Thank you very much. Thank you for the questions. And we will see you next month. Have a great one.